Hi everyone, in this video I'm gonna go through the mechanical phase for the first boss in Shadowmoor. Attack rotation will not be explained in this video, it's simply the mechanical phase which we're going to go through here. So what has to be decided before actually starting the fight is to decide who's going to be a driver and which 3 people are going to take which crystal that's going to spawn. So going through those people who are going to touch the crystals will be spawned at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Touching one of those crystals will cause you to be rooted in place, and you can free yourself with any type of iframe skills. So the crystal people will touch one crystal in order to find out which one of those 3 are the so-called real crystal. But also at the same time you will get a crystal buff, and this buff will be important to complete a conduction lineup phase towards the real crystal at the end of each rotation. The person who touched the real crystal will also have a crystal icon above their head. The rest of the people will not have an icon on, and the crystal which they have touched will also disappear. So taking a look at the video here, we will go through the mechanical phase that's gonna happen. The mechanical phase is happening at 90%, 60% and 30%. And when mechanical phase happens, the boss will always jump back towards the middle of the map. At the same time, when crystals are spawned, some light circle areas will also appear on the map. That is more for the driver's job to take care of, which we will go through at a later section in this video. But first off, the crystal phase. They are spawning at these locations, and 3 people are gonna grab them, 1 each. If it's not the real one, you will get rooted and it will disappear. The real one, as you saw earlier, will spawn a ripple that's gonna expand from its location, and you can jump over that ripple in order to not get hurt. And the one who touched the real crystal will have this crystal icon, which were mentioned earlier. So the driver's job is to drive the boss back and forth towards light up area, then to mid, and then to the last light up area that's closest to the crystal. And as you can see, the crystal people are already ready to do the lineup conduct phase that's gonna happen. During the lineup phase for conduct, a good standard distance would be 3 meters, 6 meters, and 10 meters. Depending on the driving of the boss, the players may have to adapt to a more fitting distance. But as a standard, follow like 3, 6, and 10, and you will be fine. The person with the crystal icon above their head will be grabbed first by the boss, and the conduct happens afterwards towards the crystal. The crystal will turn into a shield because a room-wide death blow attack is gonna happen, so everyone has to enter this shield in order to not get hurt. That's basically the rotation and what the crystal people has to do. When it comes to the driver's point of view, you can see that the ripple is gonna spawn, indicating where the real crystal is. And as a driver, you will get a driver mark above your head. It's very visible, it's very dark. And what the driver has to do is drive the boss towards the activated light circles that spawns during each mechanical phase. Only the closest person to the boss will be marked, and the tank cannot be the driver. Driving happens normally 3 times during each phase. The boss will jump to the middle as usual in the map, and the first dash or driving the driver has to do is take the boss towards one of the activated light circles that are furthest away from the crystal. So in this video, you can see that the activated crystal was this one up here. So this activated light circle is closest to the crystal, which means that this is the furthest away. So the driver always have to drive the boss towards the one that's furthest away to the crystal. And the second dash or drive will be back to the middle, and the third dash or drive will go to the last activated light circle, which is closest to the crystal as mentioned earlier. So that's the furthest one, the first dash. This is the second dash, which is back to the middle. And the conduct people are getting ready, and the driver is gonna drive the last dash towards the light area that's closest to the crystal. And to take note of as a driver, when all dashes have been fully maneuvered, the boss will do one last attack towards the driver, which is a cone-shaped breath attack, which will cause everyone to be rooted if they are getting hit by this attack. It is therefore important that the driver bait that last attack away from the 3 people with a crystal buff. This is the last breath attack. As you can see, the driver was baiting it away from the rest of the crystal party members so they don't get hit by it when they're trying to find their correct meters or distance in order to fulfill the conduct phase later on. Take note that if you're the driver or any other player in the team that's not gonna do the conduct phase, do not stand close to these group of people, or the conduct line might jump to someone else that's close or nearby. So don't be close. Enter the bubble or the shield, and you're good to go for the next phase. And the last phase here, which happens at 30%, that's when the tricky stuff is gonna happen when it comes to driving. Instead of always dashing towards the driver, the boss will do an extra attack or an extra movement with its head that's gonna make him go backwards instead. So the boss will sometimes lift his head up and tilt it towards his right side. That means that the boss will not charge forward towards the driver, but instead he will do a spinning move and going away from the driver. And whenever that happens, the driver has to immediately go behind the boss when they see that his head is lifting up and tilting towards his right side. That will make the boss to charge forward instead. You can see that happened in the video. If we go back a few seconds again, you can see the driving here. You can see that he lifts his head towards the right side. That means that he's gonna do a spin attack. The driver was right in front of the boss earlier, but since they saw that his head tilted right, knew exactly that he has to move immediately to behind the boss in order to make the boss going forward instead. In this animation, also tilting his head, and the driver was going backwards behind the boss. And this is a normal charge dash forward. He didn't lift his head or tilt it to the right side, so that's why the driver never went backward behind the boss. That's it for the mechanics of this boss. If there are any questions, just send me a message and I will try to explain more. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.